Hello, my name is Bella Edgley and today I'm going to talk about how I created these two simple watercolour paintings. Okay, so I'm going to dive straight in. I'm just taping off my paper here. I'm using Archer's cold press smooth grain and I'm actually using 5 colours for these paintings. I'm going to be using Paynes grey, indigo blue, burnt sienna, raw sienna and phthalo blue. Now I've got the burnt sienna and I'm putting that down with a medium-sized round brush, and I'm putting that in the centre, and this is going to form what looks like a kind of land mass in the middle of the painting, and I'm just putting a little bit of the raw ochre next to that. Now I've got 2 glasses of clean water here, and I'm making sure that I'm using a really clean brush and getting some of that Paynes grey on there, and I'm putting that underneath. And then on top I'm going to put some of the indigo blue, and I'm laying that down. I'm using the same brush for laying down all these paints. Okay, so all those paints are still wet and I'm working relatively quickly. I've just washed off my brush and I've got some clean water on it, and I'm just using that clean water to pull that blue up the page. And I'm not overworking it, I'm not scrubbing too much on the page, I'm just putting the water down and leaving it. And I'm going to do the same at the bottom to the Paynes grey. And as I'm adding the water, it's lightening up quite a lot, so I'm going to add some more paint there, because I want the Paynes grey to be fairly dark. And then I'm just going to do exactly the same thing with the clean water to pull the paint down. I mean, obviously I made a mistake there. I put some paint down, but it's fine, because when watercolour's wet it's fairly forgiving. You can lift off paint if you put paint down that you didn't mean to put down. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up a bit now, but the principle that I'm working with is that I'm putting the darker paint towards the middle, and I'm using the water to soften that paint and lighten it up towards the edges, because I want the central part to feel like the land mass and for the eye to be drawn to the central part, and towards the edge I really want the paint to be quite transparent and light. Now these colours are more sort of muted down versions of blue and orange, and I think that's why they work together, because blue and orange are complementary colours on the colour wheel. But obviously using the same principles you could try out different colours. Now I'm going to take this away to dry now, and I'm going to bring it back to see what it looks like. Okay, so here it is. Now as you can see, the colours have dried quite a bit lighter than when they were wet, and the difference between the Paynes grey and the indigo isn't so pronounced now. So I'm going to go over this with a second layer of paint just to make those colours more intense. Okay, so first off I'm going to do the indigo blue, and I'm going to do this with quite a simple brush stroke. I don't want to lift off the paint underneath, so I'm just putting down a band of colour there, and I'm getting the water on my brush and lifting it up. And I'm just adding a bit of phthalo blue here, because I want that blue above to be quite a bit brighter than the Paynes grey below. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the Paynes grey below, and I'll just put the music up for a bit here. Okay, so that's it, it's finished now. I'm going to take it away and let it dry, and I'm going to do a second one, and for this one I'm not going to do a voiceover. I'll just put some captions to run through the steps, which will be more or less the same as the first one. Okay, so I've got my 2 finished paintings here, and I'm gonna take the tape off. Now when you take the tape off, you get this nice edge, so you can just leave the paintings like this, or you can put a mount over them. It really is just personal choice really. And this paper isn't quite flat, so I'm going to have to flatten it. Now you can flatten artwork after you've painted it by wetting the back and putting it under books, or I have another method which I like to use, which is using tape, and I'll put a link in the description to another video I made showing this process. Okay, so here we are. I've got my flattened artwork now. I'm really happy with how these turned out. The one on the left is slightly moodier because the burnt ochre bled into the indigo blue and the Paynes grey a lot more. And like I said, you get quite a nice edge when you add the tape. You could just leave them like this, you could frame them like this, or you can put a mount on top, and I have some mounts which I keep in my studio. Now these ones are quite small, but something like this would still work, and it's quite interesting to see how it does really change the look of the painting. But that's really a framing choice, and that's really up to personal preference. Now, something that I wrote in the captions that I didn't mention in the first demonstration was that I used the end of the brush to make some lines in the centre, and I think having these sort of slightly more detailed shapes in the centre is what makes these paintings work. So you've got the darker paint and the more detail towards the middle, and that softens out towards the edge. I'm just showing this one with a slightly larger mount, but it's quite a bright white, so it doesn't work that well with this paper, but it's quite a good size. Okay, so I really hope that you've enjoyed this demonstration. Thank you very much for watching, and if you liked the video then please hit like, and if you'd like to see similar videos in the future then please subscribe to my channel. Okay, thank you, bye.